joins me now from the Capitol Hill. Senator, tell me, $3.4 trillion? Seriously? They think Americans can afford that right now?
I really don't, Gerri. I think it is absolutely, it's just defies common sense that we would raise the tax on fuel every American has to use. If you're going to drive a car, if you're going to fly in an airplane, you're going to have to use gasoline, and it is going to raise the price of gasoline $3.4 trillion, and this is over a period of time. It's, you know, it's about $90 billion a year, and that's just going to hurt small business, it's our economy, and we can't afford it right now.
Now, my understanding is they're not going to rely on me to calculate my own CO2 emissions, but the end result is actually going to be about 15 cents a gallon, and I'd say that's 15 cents that Americans can't afford right now.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, we're using EPA's own numbers and their own estimates of what the carbon emission is. This is the Kerry-Lieberman bill. It is the second iteration of cap and trade. This is the carbon emissions bill, and it's estimating that this much carbon is put in the air by the refineries and by the process of getting the gasoline, and it's going to be another added burden on already beleaguered American taxpayers, and certainly going to hurt small business at a time when we're hoping that they will hire more people and get the economy going again. And furthermore, it's going to have another big government bureaucracy that is going to decide how you collect the tax, and then they're going to have rebates that they say will go back to certain people, but it's another big government bureaucracy to do the rebates, and
wow.
I'm sure most people won't see it. So it's just another big government growth grab.
Well, it sounds like it, and you know, I think the last thing most people want to see right now is another tax. But my understanding from your report out today that you just talked about only a few hours ago is that there are automatic escalators. It grows every year. So not only is it a brand new tax that we've never seen before that will hurt Americans in the wallet, but also it's going to get bigger every single year.
Yes, it's going to grow every year because what they're trying to do is make people use less fuel. Well, that's a great idea. We'd like for less oil and gas to be used, but it's not realistic when right now we are depending on the basic bread and butter energy source, and that's oil and gas. Now, let me say that Senator Kit Bond and I co-chaired this study, and we want renewable fuels. We want to have more hybrid cars, electric cars. We'd like to have nuclear power plants, which are very environmentally safe, if we had more electric cars and the ability to use them. We've got a lot of ideas that would be proactive, but
they're not ready right
oil
now.
And gas to pay for
that's
right.
the problem, Senator. You know, I know I can't help but notice, and you're from Houston, so I'm sure you're aware of this firsthand. People supporting this bill include Big Oil. Big Oil loves this bill, and you know why? Because they don't have to pay for it. It goes to us. Shouldn't the oil companies also be held with their feet to the fire to help pay for some of this stuff?
Well, exactly. They're for this bill because they're not going to pay for it. They're going to pass it right through to consumers. So it's going to be good old hardworking America that pays for it. The people who have to use their cars, who don't have an electric car, they don't have a hybrid car, they have a regular car, probably 15 years old, like some of mine. And we're going to be using gasoline for the foreseeable future, and we want to bring the other kind in. But it is outrageous to tax regular working Americans yet again for this kind of effort to lower the consumption of fuel.
I want to show you a somewhat surprising study, a poll of Americans and what they had to say about whether they could support something like this. An increased tax on gasoline, would they support it? Only 51% say they would oppose. I thought that would be higher. But part of this poll is the idea that the revenues would be used to study, research, promote alternative fuel methods. So, you know, I got to say, the Americans are kind of split on this, and I was surprised there wasn't more reaction negatively against the tax. I think it's all about how the money is used. Senator, my understanding is, again, this is going to be renewable energy that will be studied. Why is that not a good goal?
Well, I do think renewable energy is a good goal. We need to have more capability to use cellulosic ethanol. We need to, because, you know, that's weeds, and if we can make that productive, the problem is it's not enough to actually meet our energy needs. So you're talking about very expensive product, and you're talking about something that can't be carried in a pipeline. It has to be carried by truck or train, which also it's expensive. So we need to have the renewable energies so that we can continue to build on those, but I don't think oil and gas consumers should have to pay for that. It's higher taxes.
And to that very point, what is the best way of funding that research and making the transition to renewable energy, energy that, you know, can be sustained over decades and decades and decades? We know we have to make changes. How do we pay for that change?
Well, for one thing, these new types of fuel are more expensive, but we can have nuclear power plants, for instance, which we have supported all the way. Just even loan guarantees to encourage nuclear power plants would provide much cheaper electricity, and it's environmentally safe. And yet this administration has not raised the amount of loan guarantees to encourage nuclear options, nuclear power options. And that would be one way for us to start looking at electric cars with nuclear power that produces electricity the most cheaply and the most environmentally safely. That would be my alternative.
Well, Senator, I can't let you go without talking to you about this moratorium on drilling in the Gulf. And of course, the administration made it very clear they don't want any drilling done. They're going to appeal a decision by a judge that would allow drilling to occur. And now they're saying there's even a compromise that they might be willing to pursue. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that the point that was made earlier on your show, that when you have an airline accident, you try to find out what happened to that particular airline, but you don't ground every airplane in America. Now we are putting people out of work. These jobs are going to go overseas. These companies can't sit idle and have their workers sitting on these rigs doing nothing. They're going to send them overseas where they can be productive. And then guess what? We're going to be more dependent on foreign imports, and the jobs are not going to be here in America. You know, we want to be safe, and we can do that. We can just set the safety standards. This has been going on for 2 months now. 2 months. And I'm sure that needs to act. Houston and the entire region getting hurt here. Senator, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gerri. Appreciate your bringing this out for us. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, he's not giving up.